Hi, I'm Tamara Zoner. Welcome to Spirit Cafe. Come in, sit down, and grab a cup of love. Welcome, Spirit Cafe viewers and listeners. This is Tamara Zoner. I'm so excited because today is our very first episode without the great John Davis. I know we're going to miss him, but we're going to have some fun today too. So on board with me today is Melanie Yates, and I'm very excited to talk to Melanie because she works with something called EFT, Emotional Freedom Technique, and that is one of my favorite tools to use for healing, growth, and development. So I'm going to turn it over to Melanie. Melanie, welcome to Spirit Cafe. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, hello, Spirit Cafe. I'm so excited to be here. Thanks for the warm welcome. And yeah, I'm a coach and I'm an author, and I love helping people. I love getting people to kind of uncover their own answers. And I love it. EFT for that, because tapping allows us to shift negative energy and open our mind, because I really believe these negative feelings keep us stuck. And so if anyone's feeling stuck, I like that word because people can describe that in different ways. It can feel lonely, it can feel like depression, it can feel anxious, it can feel unmotivating, it can feel numb. But basically, what I mean by stuck is that you're going along in your life and you want something different, and you even try to do new things, and you just keep finding yourself in the same place. And I really believe that there's things that happen to us in our lives that get emotions get stuck inside of us and keep us from the flow of life, keep us from the abundance of life. And we end up running our life on scarcity or fear. And so EFT is so cool for that, because it's about shifting energy and releasing energy that's keeping us the same. And the other important thing to know is that your brain doesn't want you to be different. It thinks it's keeping you safe by staying the same. And so when you think of growth and learning, you have to change. You have to, so that's exactly the opposite of what the brain's trying to do. The brain is trying to keep you safe and the same, and it's doing its job. That's what its job is.
Yeah, I love that. So many people don't know that. And that's one of the first things I teach in my own coaching or in workshops. It's like your subconscious mind has one job, and it's to keep everything the same, to keep you safe. And and that's not always a good thing. So tell me and tell us how you kind of got into it. So typically when I talk to coaches, when I talk to people who've made big changes in their lives, it's most often because they felt stuck for a bit. So, give us your spiritual evolution and what brought you to the point you're at today. Since we're Spirit Cafe, we talk a little bit about, how did you grow up? What were your parents the kind that taught you that feeling was a good thing? Or did they teach you how to stuff it all down and get stuck in your emotion? And no harm done to the parents, right? They knew what they knew and they taught us what they were taught. And beautifully, we seem to be shifting gears and opening up more. So an EFT is a great tool for that. But what led you here? What got you into EFT, and what was your sort of spiritual upbringing?
So my parents belonged to organized religion, and they taught me wonderful values and morals. And I was a very rebellious kid. You know, I really wanted to find out things for myself, and so just because you told me didn't mean much to this teenager, that's for sure. And so I really have always been kind of an independent thinker. And so if you told me something, I was automatically kind of wanting to prove it otherwise, or find out for myself. So that's kind of how my brain thought in my earlier youth. I think that's another form of closed mindedness, because I just wanted my way, really.
Mm.
And I wasn't open to really hearing what other people say. And studying the brain, that's actually normal for teenagers, and that's why
Right.
sometimes we think of teenagers as being um yeah, I don't even know the word for it, but they've already collected information, and now they're trying to sort through it. And
Mhm.
so that's why they think they know everything, because it's like their brain has collected enough information, and then they're using that information to make decisions. And so thank heavens, you know, we get more time to understand what collecting information is all about. And I'm so grateful I got to a place where making making closed minded decisions got me to a place of pain, of spiritual bankruptcy. I've always thought I was a spiritual person. Uh, and I got myself to a place where I was seeking spiritual solutions. I was seeking self-help. I was looking like whatever book or whatever, it's like, is it going to be yoga? Is it going to be this religion? Is it going to be that? It was just like, I'm just searching. Right. And kind of still digging a hole of my own making, of feeling miserable in my life with my relationships, especially. I was really, I feel like I got to a spiritual bottom because of a relationship. And that relationship um, was getting so painful that uh, you know, feel like when you get to a place where you're in pain, that's you're more open because you've tried it all I've tried all the
With
ways
everything.
myself. And
Yeah.
I was just kind of like at the bottom. And so I somehow I got referred to a coach. And she the first time we talked, I'm playing the victim. I'm like, this is what's happening to me every time I try this, I've tried that, and it's not working. And I don't understand what I'm doing wrong. And you know um so she introduced me to emotion code, which
Okay.
is releasing negative emotions and learning how to muscle test so you can get yes and no answers from your subconscious. And I read books about that, and I started opening my mind to energy medicine. And she also taught me EFT, and I got certified in EFT, and I have thousands of hours with clients, um, opening the channel so that those negative emotions don't keep us stuck. And so that's what happened to me. I kind of had this I I'm definitely a seeker. I was trying all kinds of stuff, but when I got a coach, I had more progress with her in a very short time than I had with traditional therapy and self-help books and yoga and meditation and support groups and stuff like that. So this was kind of an opening for me to invite something different. Like, I think sometimes when we try, when when we could be on a better path, it feels uncomfortable and it's the unknown. And sometimes we take that as it's wrong.
Right.
But the default, like when I think of my past, if I'm thinking this is my past and this is my future, and where the fingers meet is right now, this is the default. So what I've gotten in the past will be what I get the future if I don't change the direction.
Mhm.
And so if this is my default and I start going like this, my brain it doesn't get it. And it's kind of like, well, this is different. I don't know what's going to happen. And I'd rather go back to the familiar. So even if people start going, I mean, it's important to know when you change, there's going to be resistance, and there is going to be, no one said it was going to be comfortable.
No, I
So
mean, there's a whole period of discomfort. Honestly, most of us humans need to get really uncomfortable before, like, so uncomfortable that we can't actually take it anymore. Because most of us are pretty comfortable with discomfort. until it gets so bad, like that pain that you were talking about in the relationship, which I could totally relate because I went through a very similar sounding experience where I had done everything that I could. And that's when I started, actually, I happened upon tapping because, the universe just hands you what you need. If you're paying attention, you reach out and grab it. And I was like, this is the end of this. I can't do this anymore. I've tried everything, everything, everything outside of me for him, for the marriage, for his comfort, and now, like, I'm done. It didn't work. So what can I do for me? And tapping was such a gift. However, I came across it probably from The Secret. Somebody in there was a tapping teacher, I'm sure. Um, and that discomfort has to get so, so strong that we're willing to try something new. And I think for those of us who have gone through those massive changing times in our lives, we actually become comfortable with being uncomfortable and trying new things. And that's what helps us kind of go, well, I've tried all this stuff that didn't work. Now let me try some new things that might. And I'm already uncomfortable. So I might as well keep going here.
Exactly. And for the people that, have been on this journey of growing and feeling uncomfortable and doing it anyway, tapping is such a great way to continue to make progress, because anytime we're up leveling, anytime we're setting a new goal, there's going to be this resistance, and learning how to uh, having a toolkit. I mean, this is just
Yes.
one item in there. I love coaching because I feel like that being in your toolkit, it's the accountability. Most of us can easily make promises we make to ourselves. It's an easy thing to do of, okay, I set this goal, but I don't want to tell anybody because we're so afraid of failing or making a mistake or looking stupid. That's
Hmm.
what am I just don't want to look stupid, and I don't want to make a mistake, and I don't want to fail, and so I'll hide,
Hmm.
and I'll play small. And your brain's okay with that. Your
Yeah.
subconscious mind is
Because
totally
that's
okay
safe.
playing small, you know.
Yeah.
So when I tell somebody my big dreams, there's a level of accountability. And
Mhm.
then if I'm paying that person to keep me accountable,
Yeah.
they're going to keep me accountable. They're going to ask me about it the next time,
Yep.
and once you get used to that, it's easier to have what I call a life of consultation, where I literally have a panel of people that are in my life that help me make decisions. And sometimes, the people on my panel aren't people I personally know.
Mhm.
I'll use books to understand somebody's principles, and I will learn about how that person lives their life. And it's like my imaginary panel. It's like it's inside my head where I'm like, well, what would Darren Hardy do, or what would Oprah Winfrey do, or somebody that I look up to. You know, um, they don't even have to be alive.
Yeah.
What would Joan of Arc do? Like what are you know what would Esther from the Bible do? There's like these different people that I find information about, that I'm like, wow, how could I apply that principle in my life today? And how could that help me make good decisions
Mhm.
today? And, you know, your mind is like a computer. So it's kind of like when you ask questions, even if you don't feel the answer right away, your mind will be searching for it. And then all of a sudden you're doing the dishes and you'll get an answer, and you'll be like, oh wow, um and so if it feels like you're asking yourself questions and you're not getting answers, it could be you're so focused that your brain is like kind of shutting down on you, and you can that's why, like, taking a walk or having a work mode and a relaxation mode is so important, because our brain needs different things to engage it. And I think sometimes we try too hard,
Yeah.
and we want things so bad, we want it on our timing. And I think that's another way to practice surrender and acceptance. When I think of spirituality, um, what keeps me from like being in the zone of being open to a third dimension, so to speak,
Mhm.
is that I want control.
Yes. Yeah.
So and it's hard to let go of control because we think control keeps us safe. Again,
Yeah.
it's that subconscious mind that's like, uh, you need to know what's going to happen so that we know what to do and that it's familiar. And the thing is, that skill of accepting what is and loving what is and being okay, because I mean, look around, there's a lot of change going on in the world, and there's people don't know how to handle it. People
Yeah.
are having identity crises, they're having faith crisis,
Yeah.
um they're afraid,
Yeah.
they're fear crisis. I worked in the medical field for 21 years, and people were afraid when the pandemic came. My colleagues, I mean, we thought we were going to die
Mhm.
because COVID, because we were helping people and treating COVID. And then we thought we were going to take it home and our family was going to die. And so
Yeah.
there's lots of fear going on,
Mhm.
and people use fear to to make people conform or
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, that is one of the things John and I talk about all the time when we're talking about religion. It's this, it's programmed into us fear so that we do what whoever the leader is, what they tell us to do. And I love how you talked about acceptance of what is as a skill. So because if it's a skill, that means we can learn it and we can practice it, right? Which is amazing. So you recently left the medical community then. Is that what I'm hearing?
actually last Sunday, so what, 8 days ago, permanently I left the medical field to help medical professionals with burnout full time. So I've been a coach for about 10 years, and I've coached all kinds of different areas, entrepreneurs and divorce, people helping walk through divorce gracefully, and relationships. I love to help people uncover their answers by
Mhm.
asking good questions. That's how I like to
Yeah,
do it.
that was the other thing I was thinking. We're always getting answers. We're always getting answers to whatever questions we ask, but are we asking the right questions? Right? Because people will be like, "Oh, well, why can't I this, or this? What, right? Why doesn't my partner this, that, or that?" Well, so you're going to keep getting the answer to why they don't or why you can't. We have to
Yeah,
learn how to tweak our language, right? How can I? What will? You know, changing our language is such a massive part of changing our lives. And I love also, like, we're both coaches, so we can geek out on coaching a bit. You know, it took me, I would say, a good 5 years to really move from that stuck place into consistent growth. And I know for sure with clients that I work with, some of them do that in 6 months because they have me to lead, guide, and teach them how to know themselves, how to ask those right questions and get those answers from within. And if everybody just had a coach,
yeah,
you know, to have that accountability, like, we don't realize how quickly we can transform our lives, but it's a lot harder to do it all alone. And having a coach and using something like EFT and someone who has the experience in transforming their own life is such a powerful gift. So, who's your favorite kind of person to work with then? You work with the divorced people, me too. A lot of them come my way. Now you're helping medical professionals with burnout, and I think that is such an important group to work with because we need them. And we need them
absolutely. And
healthy.
the statistics are that physicians, they did a statistic where 58% of physicians would not recommend a career in medicine to their kids.
Wow.
That really got my attention.
Wow.
Um, about 55% of physicians are saying they're burned out. A lot of physicians, the physicians I've personally talked to at the hospital, don't like to admit that they're burned out. But if you ask the right question,
Mhm.
like, would you consider yourself moderately or severely stressed? They will say yes.
Yes.
So it jumps up, even in the statistic, it jumped up to like 88%.
Wow.
And so it's just interesting that if you ask the right question, then people are able to, because everyone's at different levels. And, people in the medical field, um, they've been so focused on saving lives and managing their schedule. It's really, it's such a, uh, the schedule of a medical professional, especially one that works at a hospital, is
Mhm.
so all over the place and demanding. And medical professionals have always been prone to depression, anxiety, addiction, to try to maintain or sustain this kind of lifestyle.
Mhm.
But after the pandemic, I would say it affected everyone. The pandemic affected everyone across the board,
Sure.
but people that didn't have the tools, you know, about how to manage emotions, um, how to communicate, how to forgive, how
Yes.
to,
Yes. Yes.
you know, there's a lot of things that, when stuff starts to fall apart, if we don't have the skill, and I like the word skill because I like that you can learn about it, practice it, and
Mhm.
get better. Just like Olympic athletes, they have mastered skill, and that's possible. You know, uh, when I think of happiness as a skill, like it can
Mhm.
be mastered if you put enough time into it, like an Olympian.
Yes, 100%. You're speaking to somebody who actually teaches happiness. So that's and I say it's a practice. That's it. And one of the reasons that I was able to bounce back pretty quickly when COVID hit, I was working in senior living at the time and happened to be in the first senior living community in the state of Michigan to have a positive COVID case. And so, everybody got down, everybody got depressed, everybody was scared. And even I got kind of sucked into that vortex and I got sick. And yet I was able to bounce back really quickly because I can recognize when I'm, falling into bad patterns or bad behaviors or bad choices and go, "Oh, I've been watching the news too much." I need to I need to turn that off. I need to reinstate my news boundaries. So I have very clear clean news boundaries for myself, and I need to, even though I don't feel good right now, especially because I don't feel good right now, I need to get back into the behaviors that support me. So, really gentle yoga while I'm recovering from COVID, some longer meditations because I can just sit still for a bit and I don't feel like moving much anyway. And tapping again comes back into that and just releasing all the stuck stored energy from body and mind. Yes. So good. So, teaching happiness. So, you wrote a book about happiness. Is that correct?
Yes, I wrote a book, Happy, Joyous, and Free. Love your life no matter what.
Oh, beautiful.
So I like what you just said about awareness is really the first key. So when you
Yes.
can recognize something, then you can do something about it. And some of us are just have been in survival mode that we don't even realize. I'm unhappy until it gets so bad that
Mhm.
you think medication is the only answer. It's like you wake up one day and you're like, what is wrong with me? I mean, so there's more. I have nothing against medication. I think medication can be a bridge, but I don't feel like it's sustainable.
Mhm.
I think that medication with these tools can really can help us get to a different place. I think you know yeah, I'm not going to go too far into that, but I really feel like um happy, joyous, and free is a skill, and it's a way to live your life And to be perfectly honest, sometimes I feel like a hypocrite because, uh, you know, there's been a lot of change in my life, especially leaving a career that I've done for 21 years. Um, and that transition, even though this is a dream come true, and on the outside, it's like this is everything I've ever wanted, and yet I'll have these moments of like I don't want to get up. I don't want to
Mm.
do this day. I want to escape somehow, right?
Yes.
So it's life is ups and downs.
That's it. I love that you said that. And I love that, you as an author on happiness and someone who teaches these skills and you live it. People have to know that greater happiness doesn't mean no sadness, no grief, no painful days. It means that we allow it, right? We allow it, we feel it. I always tell this to my people, if you ignore it, you store it. And if you feel it, you heal it. Because if we allow ourselves to simply feel what we feel and process it, then it moves through us and out and away and it's gone. But if we're like, oh no, I'm not going to face this, and we stuff it down, I mean, that's why tapping is so important in my book. That's like if someone is super storing emotions and not processing them, that's the tool that I say, I think we need to do this because you've got some stuff you don't know how to loosen up. Like you got to unpack that bag and empty the suitcase so that there's room for more. So
I love
more
that.
joy.
And I there's this tapping that you can do around your
Oh,
ears like
that's what I
this.
don't know. Okay.
And it's so easy. I'd love to just like talk
Oh, I
about it
love
for
that.
a
Yeah.
minute here. So you kind of start where your cheekbone is and you just tap around your ear. So you're going to tap on your temple,
Okay.
around your ear, kind of down by your neck, up by your jaw, and you're just making a circle. You don't have to do it hard. It can be really soft.
Hmm.
But this is how if you're thinking if you have a negative emotion and you can just narrow it down to one. Like we'll just say anxious because I think a lot of people have that.
Hmm.
So the words that you use is it's okay that I feel anxious. And then you want to have another word that you would rather feel. So we'll use peace
Hmm.
today. But when you use your own words about the way you feel and the way you want to feel, and if you can't figure out a way to feel, I'll look up synonyms or antonyms
Hmm.
for a word
Yeah.
because the more we can find ways to articulate what we're really feeling, the the better it is to release. And I even have my clients look up the definitions because sometimes we forget what words mean.
Yeah.
And I do. Like I'm surprised at the definition that I will find for different emotions. Like, oh, I didn't really know that it meant that. So all we do is if you can check in with yourself before you start, like how anxious do I feel from a 1 to 10, and you actually rate it, like 10 being the highest number. And what's nice that if you tap for even 60 seconds and then check back in with yourself and say, okay, how anxious am I now? And some people don't like being able to say, it's okay, I feel anxious because we've heard so much about affirmation. So I just want to speak to
Yeah.
that. It's a way to shift energy. This is not an affirmation. It's a way to acknowledge and release. And so if you can't acknowledge something, how can you let it go? So it's
Exactly.
this is not an affirmation. We're acknowledging that it is okay to feel what I'm feeling. And if you I also teach that feelings are signals. They give us information. And so your feelings need something and they're trying to tell you something. So all we do is it's okay if I feel anxious. And you can do it with one hand or two hands. Sometimes when I'm driving, I'll do this with one
Okay.
hand on the wheel.
Oh, just one hand.
Yeah. So it's okay if I feel anxious. It's okay if I feel peace.
Oh, nice.
It's okay if I feel depressed. It's okay if I feel calm.
Mm.
It's okay if I'm pissed off right now. And it's okay if I forgive. And you can just keep going back and forth between the positive and the negative. It's okay to feel feelings. It's okay to release the ones that are negative. It's okay to learn from my feelings. It's okay if I'm okay. And then I
Mm.
always say, take a deep breath in through your nose. Yeah. So you just want to check in with yourself afterwards. And if it didn't work, you just need to do it longer. And
Right? Just do it
and
again.
yeah, because I think we try things for, oh, it didn't work, and then our mind just shuts down.
Yeah.
So
It
there
didn't
could
work
be a lot
yet.
of
It hasn't worked yet.
yes,
I love that, and you said something like, I love that you're saying it's okay to feel this, right? When I first learned tapping and why I continue to love it is for that truth telling round, right? I always say, this is your truth telling round. This is not toxic positivity. This is not affirmations. This is you allowing, respecting, and honoring how you're feeling in this moment. And you get to tell your full truth right now and tap it out. And it's such a beautiful gift. I think that if, I taught this to my kids when they were little because I was in that stage of like figuring my stuff out when they were very little. And I would sit and tap with my middle child, and they loved it. And they were like, Mommy, can we do another one tonight? Can we do can you teach me a new meditation? Can you teach me a new technique? And while as they've gotten older, now they're all teenagers, they're just like, no, Mom, but they have the tools, right? And they can pull them out anytime they want to. And I trust that they will eventually. Oh, I like this very much, this different way of tapping. So it's so much easier and quicker than like that. Some people feel like there's a lot of pressure. Oh, what do I say when I'm tapping on every point? I don't know what to say. Like, you don't have to say anything. Just talk out loud or
yeah,
read your journal while you tap or
there's so many EFT YouTube videos, so you can look. There's
really.
so many different points. I like this one because it's just what's the negative, what's the positive,
Yeah, I like
and it's not hard to remember because it's just it's this is a meridian around your ear,
yeah.
so that's what tapping is. It's tapping on these meridians, these energy highways in our body that Eastern medicine has told us about. Just like Western medicine is our blood flow, we have an energy flow. And so I like that one because it's quick and easy, and I don't have to remember all the points, and I don't have to look
Yeah.
it up on
It's also very
YouTube. But the
intuitive.
point is,
It's like when you're
and
really frustrated, you're already doing this, right? You're like,
yeah,
ah.
right here, it's like you're holding.
So it's
So
almost
it's
like
a
a
way
very
to just kind
natural.
of yeah, and I never even thought about that. Yeah, it's your mind that needs some energy work. It needs
Yeah,
some
yeah.
releasing right there. So yeah, and I've even just visualized doing that. Like if I'm in a place where it would look really weird that I started tapping around my ear, I can just visualize and say it in my head, and that sometimes can be enough of a relief to just shift energy. And I mean, there's tons of information on visualization can work better than
Right.
the actual this thing doing it. So
Exactly. Because our
um,
brains don't know the difference between what's real or imagined. So if we're
that's
imagining it, it's working just the same, right? It's just
yeah, and
extra.
it's the intention.
Yeah.
It's the intention. You can't hurt yourself. You can't hurt yourself, um, and so the more you do, the more you know what works for you and your body. And so I wanted to just share that one because it's an easy one that
Yeah, that's so good. Thank you so much. What a gift. Look at that, viewers and listeners. Oh, perfect. So I was just glancing through your questions that you're always ready to answer, and I'm wondering, could you share a story with us? Like, what was your most surprising or successful client experience that even surprised you, and you're like, yeah, yeah, this is the work I'm meant to be doing because look at this beautiful win for this client.
so I had a client that saved lives on the Coast Guard, and she was the only woman in her, in her. I don't even know what they called it, but anyway, she That's a very tough job. It's a very, you need to be really strong for that job, like physically strong. And she saw lots of dead bodies and she recovered lots of dead bodies. And she was on the water for a couple years. And she had PTSD from working for the Coast Guard.
Mhm.
And she, she was so afraid of water. She could not watch movies about water.
Oh, wow.
She would say, like, Pirates of the Caribbean, she would get a panic attack. And so she had all this anxiety and panic around water. She would not go swimming. She didn't want to be next to water. I mean, I'm surprised she could take a shower. I mean, she just,
Wow.
like, water was a big deal. So we used tapping to um, heal this phobia and this PTSD around water. And part of what we do is we put the trauma in a box in our mind, kind of thing, and we tap until it feels safe to open the box. So I never force anybody. Like, we constantly are, um, you know, what does it feel like to have that box in the room? What does that feel like to bring the box closer? What does it feel like to open the box? And constantly, and when and we're using tapping to bring the box closer, to have enough courage to open it. And so it's the healing of, also that like, someone's not going to make me do something that I don't want to. Like, they're in charge of saying, okay, I'm ready to open the box. And then we take out the memories. um you we work up, but really, once we've taken a really negative, traumatic memory and clear it, it's interesting how all the other memories will either vanish or get much less.
Mhm.
And so we did that one by one. We took the worst ones and cleared them. And this was less than 6 sessions, and she was done.
Wow.
6 hours, 6 separate sessions of tapping, and she could watch Pirates of the Caribbean. Like, she was done. Like, she didn't have it stayed. It stuck. It wasn't like, oh, you know, but I would say it probably took 3 sessions to open the box. So
Mhm.
it's just interesting, and everyone's different too. But I really was, I really thought this might take a really long time, and you know, it it's just amazing how tapping can clear trauma, and and it sticks.
Yeah, yeah, it's such a gift. It's so beautiful, and thank you for doing such good work in the world.
My pleasure.
Yeah, so tell us, how can we find you? What's the best way to find you if someone wants to work with you or follow you? Where do you show up in the world, and how can people find you?
Absolutely. So happyjoyousandfree.org is my website, and I invite anyone to schedule a consult. I always have free consultations, and there's a way to do that on my website. And I'm more than happy to talk with anybody that's interested in knowing about EFT or energy medicine, or what I offer as a coach.
Mhm.
Um, it's it's something I love to do. Right now, I'm focused on medical professionals that have burnout, because there is such a need, and I understand it because I worked there. So,
Mhm.
places like TikTok and Twitter, you can find my name is Medical Pro Burnout, and on Twitter it's Neuro Coach Mel. So Melanie Yates is my name. You can find me on Facebook, and I do a lot of free workshops and webinars. Um, So my book is on Amazon, Happy,
Wow.
Joyous, and Free. So I would love to hear from you. I would love to uh, give you a free EFT session by setting up a consult on my website. So I appreciate the opportunity to talk with you and share with you. And I appreciate the work you're doing in the world, because spreading this information and especially the skill of happiness is what we all need it, and we all need to be reminded that
Yeah.
we don't have to stay stuck.
Exactly. Exactly. Thank you so much. I'll put all of that information in the show notes so people can easily just click a link and find you. And thank
Awesome.
you so much, Melanie. It's been a joy talking to you. It's been very fun. I think this was a great first episode without John. No offense,
Sorry,
John.
John.
Hopefully he's listening. And I just appreciate you so much. And viewers and listeners, I appreciate you so much. So thank you for sticking with us as we transition into this new Spirit Cafe. Not so much spirituality and religion without the guilt or dogma of religion, but stories and people to perk up your soul. So thank you so much. And we'll see you again next week. Bye. Thanks, Melanie.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us on Spirit Cafe. Please leave all comments on our Spirit Cafe Facebook page or in the comments below our YouTube videos.